Two short songs under 2 minutes will help with the opening and closing in terms of making those not take up as much space in the stream replay without having to cut things down. But unfortunately, they won't play nice with the main discussion of what we're going to talk about tonight. What is up, everybody? This is Jay, a.k.a. MultimediaJay, roughly 3:30 in the morning here at the Geekhouse. And I can definitely say that I was right when I predicted that this week would be full of nonsense. Somehow I survived. But most nights I came home and I was just like, heck with this. And I think I did manage to get one of the tech videos done. But for the most part, it's more important to get enough sleep right now with all the running around that I'm doing. Especially as these 9-to-5ers find out the hard way just how much they have failed at fielding a proper team for this summer specifically. Because for this summer specifically, there's more things in play than whether or not people quit their stupid little warehouse jobs in this area. There is also some things to consider, specifically COVID. The BA.5 variant is finding critical mass in parts of the country where there wasn't as much BA.2.12.1, and some data is coming out on it that would suggest that it evades infection immunity from original Omicron and BA.2. Of course, I'm caught up on all my shots and stuff along those lines. But the thing is, you have all of this COVID is over garbage going on, people not wearing masks, people not even wanting there to be any kind of real reporting system for cases anymore, and you have people doing everything they can to not admit they have it when they have it. And so that plus home testing plus everything else fundamentally means that there's like I said earlier, it's the summer of stealth COVID. People who get COVID are going to get it out of nowhere. They're probably going to have not like you could ever have any real idea as to where you got it from previously. But this summer is going to find a way to make even that even worse. And of course, we have the BA.5 variant, recombinant with some similar effects to Delta in some early imaging of what infected cells with the virus look like versus Delta and Omicron. And you put everything together, and you look at the numbers, like the CDC's genomic surveillance of the various variants out there. It is June 24th, 2022, wee hours of the morning. And as of the last set of data, which is end of last week, BA.5 is already up to just shy of a quarter of the cases detected in the United States. And 10% in New England. So it is progressing. The new variant is progressing ahead of schedule in terms of it's like a hurricane when it hits. It depends on what part of the hurricane hits wherever you live. Well, with this thing, it really boils down to how the schedule actually pans out in terms of it gaining critical mass and making the rounds. The fact that it's speeding up and it's ahead of schedule fundamentally means it's going to make things worse for the 9-to-5ers. We're talking about people suddenly being surprised and coming down with this thing right in the middle of all the action later this summer, right in the middle of things being completely wild. So, whatever nonsense we're dealing with right now is a warm-up lap. It's a warm-up. The crap we're dealing with right now, no matter how nuts it gets, no matter how tired I am when I get home, no matter how much running around that I do, this is the easy part of it all. Just you wait until the wacko, hysterical anti-vaxxers on day shift all come down with BA.5, and we've got like waves of outages. Even if this company were smart enough to actually take initiative as a private employer and mandate masks again, independently of the flawed CDC guidance that we know is very dependent upon the state of the hospitals, even if they stood up like some businesses around here have done and decided to set ground rules as a business, as a workplace, even if they did that, we'd still have a mess on our hands. What we're going through right now at this place with all the chaos is the warm-up lap. It's going to get a lot worse, and there'll be plenty of money to be made if you're not on the wrong side of all those people getting surprised later this summer. So that should be very, very, very interesting. I don't know what I'm going to do on this channel throughout the summer as a result of that. Maybe a few things on the weekends. I'm looking at the Ninja Turtles game that came out, doing a collab with Logan if he wants to arrange something. Probably his time zone for the start time because he's later on Pacific time. I was thinking he goes live on Twitch, I go live on YouTube, and we check this game out at the same time and just kind of, if folks want to join in, they just join the game or something along those lines. But in terms of streaming it and whatnot, I do want to kind of do a first impressions and check it out. I have played the NES Ninja Turtles games, so I've played through the first stage of Shredder's Revenge just to familiarize myself with some of the controls. No, I think Leonardo and April O'Neil, oddly enough, have the best controls in that game, but I would play as Donatello, even though he sounds like a wimp. Yeah, these Ninja Turtles beat 'em ups, go in, beat it on easy mode, then go back, beat it on normal and then hard mode, stuff like that. The way games used to be, crawl before walking, instead of driving yourself nuts trying to play a game you've never played before on hard mode for the lulz, and then making some wacko review video saying this game sucks because you basically Elden Ring yourself by playing a game that is you haven't bothered to get any good at. And the fact that the game is actually challenging you to get better is the reason why you think the game sucks. It's like, really? Of course, the angry review scene on YouTube has had people who've done that before. They've gone in over their head with the difficulty level, and they've gone in over their head with the difficulty level, and then they've wondered why the game was so hard. And they're like, this game sucks. Nobody can beat it. I better bust out a Game Genie. So I was like, no. Crawl before walking, especially in this day and age of YouTubers making videos. Especially in this day and age of YouTubers making videos and stuff, and they're like playing games they've never played before, and just completely throwing away what used to be a skill curve with learning these games. It's like the first time you play a Mario game, you might not be very good at it, but you get the controls down, you get the stages down, you get the timing down, or you do boss fights and you figure out what the strats are for that, and eventually you get good at it. It's like, but these people that just want, the instant gratification of making a YouTube video and stuff like that, it's just like distorting people's perspectives all over the place, and it's just crazy on this. What you got a time you'd be good with? So here's what I was thinking, Logan, for the Ninja Turtles thing. You probably around the time you would normally start stream, if you do say early evening to midnight, bounce it forward some hours and mean mid-evening for me to the wee hours of the morning. So get everything up and running or something like that. And that way, stuff I want to do during the day tomorrow or chores to get done, just have a deadline basically to stop everything for the night and do the rest on Saturday. So that's basically what I'm looking at for that. Let's take a look at this, though. Let's take a look at this topic. Let's talk about Twitch's 55% ad split. So I'm in total triage mode. I have tech videos to do. I have Xbox Game Pass. The time is ticking on getting the value out of that $1 free trial. I know, right? I've called it a free trial, but it costs $1. There's a reason why Xbox Game Pass has a free trial that costs something, and that is identity verification. Put a payment method on a new account signing up who's doing the trial. So that way you don't have people creating sock puppet accounts to get free Xbox Game Pass indefinitely. They just keep throwing away email addresses or whatever and making sock puppet accounts. So, why? It's not really free. It costs it all. Why are you calling it a free trial? Well, it's a free trial in the sense that you're not paying the membership fee, but that $1, it's kind of like the pay $1 to verify that you can pay for something, one of those deals by and large. Although I guess even if Xbox, I don't know how that would work though. Even if Xbox refunded the $1 once they verified that the payment went through, I still wonder if people might take advantage of that somehow. So what they have right now, I'm perfectly fine with. It's interesting too. That if you buy, for example, Forza Horizon 5, by playing it on Game Pass. First of all, Game Pass is basically an MMO subscription once you get into the full cost per month of like $10 or so. If you can find something to play all the time, it's worth it. Kind of like an MMO subscription. You're literally getting into the same model as an MMO sub. And in some cases, You're talking about having to buy the game first and then pay a monthly fee afterwards. So you just change the steps around. If the game gets taken off of Game Pass, then you just buy. If the game gets taken off of Game Pass, you just buy it at a discount when it's on the way out. So, but yeah, Logan, in terms of the times, let's take that to DMs of some sort, or maybe go to the community post or something along those lines, and we can iron everything out. Yeah, we can iron everything out there. But I think what I would do is rotate around to similar to the time you normally stream. So nothing changes for you, and I just pick a time, and I would just, go live later in the evening here, being in the later time zone, which is better anyways. But anyways, yeah, so think about Xbox Game Pass, kind of recapping from earlier when I was talking about, hey, I got Xbox Game Pass and it's fun. It really changes gaming completely, though. Playing Forza Horizon 5, I haven't actually bought the game, so to speak. I'm playing it on Game Pass, but I've bought the DLC. Now, here's the interesting part here. Yeah, Discord, once I get it working again. It doesn't work in my streaming logon right now, so I got to fix that. I think I've been out of Discord so long this week that I've been kicked out, and I have to log back in with a two-factor code or something along those lines. 4 numbers are my About page. Yeah, we'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at that. First, I got to get back into Discord because I haven't been using it. Those of you that follow the news, Cloudflare had a little bit of a disruption earlier this week, and that took down Discord as well as several online services, including SpaceHey, by the way. So it's interesting sometimes when you find out about these backbone companies that run so much of the internet, and you realize that if an NSP, network service provider, or a hub or a backbone goes down or something along those lines, it knocks chunks of the internet offline. I mean, a lot of times you think of the internet as like this omnipresent thing that's floating around everywhere because of Wi-Fi or whatever, and it's like, oh, it's just so redundant. But it's just crazy how one service caused problems galore. One service caused problems galore with this other stuff. So it's just crazy how that all works. But anyways, yeah. So think about it this way. You buy Forza Horizon 5, buy it by playing it on Game Pass, then you buy the DLC. And then around the time it's getting taken off of Game Pass, you buy essentially a Game of the Year edition at a discounted price plus the discount on top for being a subscriber. I'm actually curious if there's value in that, especially where, you just have the option of playing something else, and it's like the longest demo ever. Essentially, if you have a game that's on Game Pass for years, you play it and enjoy it, and oh yeah, let's pay the money now. We've definitely gotten some enjoyment out of this game. I actually think that sounds more fair than, like, say, this thing needs a little bit of a cleaning. I think that's actually a better business model, so to speak, than buy the $60 unfinished game on the day it comes out because you're a big fan of the game, and then feel like you've been ripped off when you run into the bugs or the main quest gets is wrong or something. Or there's something where it's a known issue, we're gonna wait for the patch maintenance, there will be a patch TBD, our teams are working on it, and we will get it fixed as soon as possible. Well, why'd you release the game if it's like that? This is a 10-year-old discussion for me. Staffa Ada Continues, the commentary podcasts on gaming that I used to regularly be a guest on back in the last decade. That was one of our chief complaints. Games being beta on release. I went with, I dealt with it with Skyrim. I dealt with it with Guild Wars 2. It's just like, why? Why do companies think that people aren't going to smarten up to this? Of course, there are idiots out there who will complain all the time because they're essentially creating their own problems, then getting miserable about them. But no, smarten up to it. Play something else. Use, say a new patch in an MMO, a new expansion in an MMO, a new release as an excuse to blow that game off because you've been stung by the gaming industry so many times that you just don't trust new releases anymore. This is what the car industry has already gone through. One of the reasons why my folks always bought secondhand cars and never bothered with dealerships or anything. Sometimes they buy secondhand from a dealership. But one of the big reasons, none of the Microsoft games will leave Game Pass. So just the licensing issues with Forza. Yeah, like what happened with Forza Horizon 3. But the whole situation with this is just why do these gaming companies think that people are not going to smarten up to all of this? Like, okay, you've stung me enough times. Oh, you have a new release? I'm not touching it. I'm not playing that expansion. I'm going to find something else to play. And a service like Game Pass makes it so easy to do exactly that. Oh, let's see what's on Game Pass this week. Let's Netflix and chill video game style. Yeah, Forza Horizon 3, I'm actually curious about that. There's some game keys for sale on some game key sites or something. Don't know if those would be any good, or if I should just find like a console version of it or something, buy it secondhand. That might be one of the reasons to play console games. That already is one of the reasons to play console games too, in case there were licensing issues with re-releases and remakes. So there's some music tracks in Grand Theft Auto Vice City, for example, that were removed from the Steam versions. So if you want the original OG experience, you got to dig up a PS2. And with PS2, you'll get the bugs and all, like Tommy Vercetti taking damage from running off the edge of a sidewalk. All those bugs that were in the original PS2 release. Or how about the horrible translations in the Final Fantasy games on Super Nintendo, like Final Fantasy 2, and the monks that instead of hi-ya or something like that, they go achoo, like they're sneezing. It's like, or how about Final Fantasy 7 with the censorship or whatever it was, where there was the secret item, slightly stretched underwear or something that was supposed to be like Tifa's like sexy lingerie or something like that. Yeah. Some of the weirder stuff that has existed in gaming over the years, you're going to have to go back to the original hardware for. Unless the company making like a remix or remaster decides to do something like that. But yeah, so yeah, I've got Game Pass. I have tech videos to make. I have more tech videos to make, by the way. I'm just really feeling like a moron, quite frankly, with this YouTube channel. So I've gotten into, obviously, heading towards Geekhouse dark mode and stuff like that, some changes to that. If you saw the last tech video, that was the prelude to the next one, which is Geekhouse. I'm just going to say it right now, Geekhouse Dark Mode, the next generation or something like that. I'm sure that some people like the nerd reference to Star Trek or something like that in there. I don't want to say it's like Geekhouse Dark Mode TNG or something. That would be too obvious. But obviously, there's been some changes to smart lighting and things like that. And of course, I'm fiddling around with trying to make some kind of use of all these ring lights that scratch and dent at the warehouse job all the time. But not having very much luck with that. Just trying to play with lighting in general. I could probably be lit better with these kinds of things. But I've seen so many Harris Heller videos where he lights up his background trying to light himself up. And so there's a certain look I'm going for, and I don't think I've homed in on it yet. But it's all a great experiment, too. Who would have thought, playing with lights that change color like this would get you thinking a lot about things like physics and wavelengths and how easy it is to make certain colors of something look like something else just by changing the lights. So think like a black light effect that makes things glow in the dark. Or with tungsten lighting, somewhat yellow-white type light for house lighting. The classic problem that my dad has complained about for decades, and I now know is because of tungsten incandescent lighting. Putting on a pair of black slacks that you think are black, and then you walk out into the sunlight and find out that they're blue. So your nice clothes for the job interview or a church service or whatever suddenly don't match the way you thought they would because you mixed up black and blue because of indoor lighting. It's just... Daylight bulbs solve that, but that's a technology in today's world, not in the 80s and 90s when I was growing up, unfortunately. Actually, when I say today's world, I mean like 2020s. You know what LED lighting was in the 2010s? Expensive niche items on Amazon for nerds with money to burn from brands you've never heard of, usually from somewhere in China. Because China has a robust tech scene as well. It's not just a Western thing. Matter of fact, they're ahead of us on electric cars. So, I remember some of these brands from various parts of China that were trying to get the technology before the Western companies started making it, like, say, GE or something along those lines. I remember those brands, those weird bulbs. I'd know that just try and get the LED lighting working somehow. And it was like you had to run the bulb for like 50,000 hours in order for the reduction in wattage to be worth it. I have an old spreadsheet that I got to dig up, take a look at it for incandescent versus CF versus LED bulbs back around 2012 or so. It's just crazy, crazy, crazy world back then. But yeah, this stuff, the smart lighting, what makes it possible for a regular Joe to be a Twitch streamer with a colorful background and stuff, all of this is recent. This is stuff I could have only dreamed about when starting the channel in the 2000s, or even doing the vlogging that I was doing in the 2010s. You know, I could at least get daylight bulbs, dumb bulbs, when I came out to this place. But all of this LEDs doing everything, ring lights, $7 desk lamps with LED arrays in them and stuff like that, all of this nerd stuff, and then you have to think about how light works and the physics behind it if you want to achieve a certain look. There's just so much that's going on. I'm sure that somebody involved in theater in high school in my day probably dealt with this with stage lights, probably went through this with stage lights in their high school auditorium. I wasn't one of those theater geeks. I was a computer nerd. But nowadays, you know, everything is solid state. And quite frankly, as an electronics guy, I love that everything's solid state. Solid state electronics became a thing in the 70s for TVs and stuff. My dad told me stories about how he remembers the TVs from when he was little. You had to go to the pharmacy when the vacuum tubes burned out like light bulbs and look it up in the book, buy a vacuum tube, open the TV and put it inside. You know how electronics say no user serviceable parts inside? Getting away from vacuum tubes was when that became a thing. Solid state TVs with transistors. No more need to open up the TV and put in a tube. And don't try not to zap yourself on that suction cup that goes to the flyback transformer and makes CRTs go out with a bang whenever it fails. Like my original tube monitor, by the way. Yeah, so you go through all of that and it's just, yeah, solid state TVs. 70s. Well, let's see. 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s, 50 years ago. That's how long there's been solid state with things like televisions. About 20 years ago, we started seeing things go solid state with flat panel TVs in the 2000s. Of course, there were some in the 90s, but they were really ghosty type things. CRTs retained some big advantages over LCDs for years. Even to this day, kind of old habits die hard. You know, I still want LCDs that match the native resolution of what it is that I want to do, like 1080p or something like that. I haven't really tried an upscaler yet, and I don't want to spend the money to experiment and have it possibly fail. I don't want to have to be returning a TV to Walmart. Yeah, I don't want 4K. I'm like the one boomer that doesn't want 4K. That kind of stuff. But the light bulbs, of all things, that's a 2010s thing. I was watching the technology as it developed. And then it became affordable in Connecticut through Energize CT and other stuff, subsidies, that subsidize the cost of the bulbs. And now you just buy it without the subsidies. You really think these smart bulbs are something the state is going to subsidize on some green energy fund? No, they're going to subsidize the dumb bulbs in case you're still using CFs or incandescents or halogens. So these things, though, like 2 for $7 now. Or 1 for like 6, 1 for 5 something. For a bulb that hooks up to your network and changes color with a voice command. That can be all kinds of colors. This is awesome, but it wasn't a thing until very recently. So, crazy, crazy times we live in. All this cool stuff that didn't exist, even when myself as a nerd was getting into this stuff. And of course, things were even cringier back when I was using regular looking daylight lights and doing vlogs like that, which, no, I actually have a couple different modes that I can use that I've programmed into my setup as part of the upgrades, but I'm not spoiling that. We'll talk about that, and we'll go over that in the next tech video. I got other things to do as well in terms of tech videos as well, and this is the last weekend of the Great Trash Scramble of 2022. So if I have second thoughts on getting rid of the plaid sofa, this is the weekend to get rid of it. Just got to go see if I can still have it hauled off, or are we too close to the deadline for that type of stuff to be arranged. So I'm still kind of torn on that, really. I mean, I don't really need a huge sofa, but everything out there that I could replace it with is going to cost too much and deliver too little. It's going to be not high enough quality compared to, it's just, we talked about this last time with the whole situation with LGR and his retro room. The antique furniture that he's buying to create a room that looks like it's from the 70s would probably be better put together, and you buy it from like a thrift store or something, than something you could buy off of Amazon today. And that's something I got to think about too, is the revenge of secondhand stores. Are we heading towards that with Goodwill and the Salvation Army store and stuff like that? If there's don't just give us your random junk with like some of these consignment shops do. I remember when I was growing up, things cost more back in the 80s and 90s. So my stepmother, my dad and my stepmother would frequent yard sales, consignment shops, things like that. We'd always be looking for deals on secondhand stuff. There's even a time, get this, when I was taking my books to school in a suitcase, because it was a cheap thing we could find at the thrift store, and the bratty kids at school slashed my duffel bag or whatever. You either do backpacks or duffel bags for your school books back in those days. I'm sure now there's digital textbooks and stuff. Boy, that'd be a lot easier on your back if you're a Zoomer. But for the books that we had, you had either a backpack or... So I had a duffel bag because I wanted the bigger of the two, because I was one of those nerds that brought all my books home every single day. But like bratty kids I went to school with didn't like my little green Adidas duffel bag, and they hung it off of a desk and stomped on it, so it shredded the thing. It broke the strap, and it broke over by the zipper and just ruined the whole thing. So instead of going to... was there even a Walmart back then? There might have been, but it just opened up. But instead of going and shopping for another duffel bag, they found a suitcase type thingy, a soft leather travel bag. It was sad because it was... it looked like a giant purse, because it was soft leathery type stuff. It's like something from the 70s. They found it at a yard sale or something, and they're like, put your books in this. The kids aren't even going to want to touch this because how weird it is. And that's the way it was. I was the suitcase guy. People asked if I was moving in or whether it was a purse I was carrying, because the bratty kids at school destroyed my duffel bag for my school books. And so the solution was to get something really weird from a yard sale that nobody would want to touch with a 10-foot pole. Eventually I went back to normal looking stuff like a duffel bag. We just went with a camper bag that instead of like a gym bag and stuff. Just went with that and got back into, actually looking like a proper teenager instead of some weirdo who frequents yard sales and pieces things together like that. Yeah, the old suitcase era. But, that was my folks taking that to the extreme, right? Because they were regulars at yard sales, thrift stores, consignment shops, things like that. The internet stuff we have today, where you hop on Amazon and always buy things new, that's a fluke. That's an anomaly. Used to be the case you had, first-hand and second-hand tiers like that. If you wanted something cheap, you'd try and find it second-hand. And, of course, all of this e-tail and stuff that exploded in the first part of this millennium pretty much, stopped all of that for a bit. But I'm seriously wondering, with everything that's going on right now, with things like furniture and stuff, would it be worth it to just shop around and look at something like a thrift store or a consignment shop? I mean, is this going to bring all of that secondhand shopping back, instead of secondhand shopping basically being, somebody please buy these PS2 games for $1 that someone dumped off and I don't want to throw away? Last time I went, it was a couple of years ago, last time I really went secondhand shopping a lot. I saw PS2 games everywhere. I almost said PC games, probably are PC games, but I've been watching a lot of LGR thrifts, and I know he lives in a better area where there's better stuff that makes its way through the secondhand circuit, but I'm legit curious, especially with the antique shops in my area, because I think some of the antique shops around here are basically secondhand stores, so I'm curious if I could find like a Nintendo game or something like that in there and stuff along those lines. Maybe find a Nintendo, fix it up, get it working, put a new 72 pin in that sucker, and then get retro with something besides a Famiclone, like the Super Retro Trio and stuff like that. But yeah, so all right, this is the last weekend for me to consider the getting rid of the plaid sofa, if I even want to bother with that. But as it stands right now, I think I could just, clean it up, put a sheet over it like I used to have, so it's not plaid anymore, on sort of rig something up so that it's a different color, then just go with it that way. If I move again, I may just pay the extra money to have it hauled off when I move. But as it stands right now, I don't really think it's worth spending the money. I am curious about the secondhand stuff, though. That could be something I do on a... Well, we've had really nice weather this summer so far. Watch, we're going to be humidity wave now that I've said that. But we've had a lot of situations where the air dries out, and it almost is like you want to wear clothes... like, not clothes. What the hell are you saying, Jay? You want to wear, like, your winter clothes again. Bring the coats out of the closet, things along those lines. So, I mean, going for a walk around town, parking somewhere, and then checking out and seeing what kind of stuff these places have, that might be something I might seriously want to consider, just to see what's around here finally. I really think, secondhand shopping might be making a comeback, and LGR thrifts might be more than a meme. It might be a kind of a thing to take a look at now that times are changing and people may want to look for deals secondhand again instead of just barreling straight to Amazon for everything. All right, so why don't we balance out this discussion by actually talking about what's in the title? And before we do that, though, let me just take a look at something here to see what's going on. Channel content. See if I can sort this all out. I can look at the posts on here, too, to see. But I think we can figure out... We'll figure it out through Discord when I actually get Discord working again. Oh, look, YouTube's not loading. Oh, said that, and it loads. All right, yeah. Where the heck are the likes? No, I didn't know if something broke on YouTube or something along those lines. I got 0 likes on this, so I guess people really hate me today. No. All right, let's get to, let's finally talk about Twitch's 55% ad split. This is one of the stories that has been something I've been meaning to talk about, but with all the crap that's been going on lately, I haven't really been able to get to it. But I did get the notice, and this will probably be the wrong thing that it displays when you hook up to the browser, because it's in Chrome, and I think I last used this for Firefox. Oh no, it just won't do anything at all. Good. Better nothing than being wrong. There. Twitter. Coming soon, better ad payouts. Hey, MultimediaJay, we have some good news. We want to support affiliates like yourself as best we can, so in August, we're increasing the ad revenue split to 55% for affiliates. How do you opt in? Just set Ads Manager to 3 minutes or more per hour and leave it there. That's it. All revved up ad rev gets paid to you at the increased rate. Not only that, but this setting eliminates pre-rolls as a nice bonus. That's a concession from Twitch, by the way. Head to the blog if you want to read about it, or slide over to the Ad Manager section of your dashboard to be ready when August comes. We want to be sure to reach out again on the day the new payout goes into effect. See you in chat, Twitch. Now, this is not going to get me to want to stream on Twitch again. Let's take care of the elephant in the room right now. This is not going to get me to want to stream on Twitch again. Twitch has too much baggage. Twitch has too much baggage. There's still too many bad things about Twitch. People getting banned for the dumbest reasons, the ban streamer rule, and the decline of the platform, quite frankly. Gnome 365, I mean, they're fighting against it. They're trying to do better. Keep in mind, people go outside in the summer and stuff. They're not sitting around watching streams as much. But if I go to the Gnome 365, this is a nerd chart that I've been keeping an eye on for quite some time here. Go back to browser mode. So here we are with the Gnome 365. The gray is what matters the most on this dark mode view. So this smooths out all the natural ups and downs of Twitch viewership, because Twitch is largely a platform that people watch in the West, at least in terms of being the most dominant platform. It's all over the world, but it's the biggest in Western markets. That ties it to certain time zones. So here we are, 2021. For 2022 right now, they're trying, sort of, to get back to 2.5 million concurrents. 2.5 million concurrents is the dotted line to keep an eye on over here, because I do have my pointer on, right? No, now I do. So the 2.5 million concurrent mark is the one to watch, because this basically represents the gains that Twitch had in 2021. When they are hanging around this line, as they are right now, actually a little below it, they have eliminated their viewership gains from 2021, and they're now back in 2020 territory, which is higher than 2019 because of the pandemic lockdowns. And I mean, we talk about, people talk about mental health and stuff like that. People talk about mental health and things along those lines with streamers. And I often wonder, are we setting ourselves, not just everything that's in play with streamers right now, streamers that are collabing all over the place and dissolving their identity as content creators, blending in way too much with their contemporaries to try and fight this negative trend of Twitch being in the skids. But I wonder how many of them are going to get hit hard with the cognitive dissonance that a lot of their success over the past 2 years is tied to a once-in-a-century pandemic forcing people into their houses. That can't be easy to handle. I wonder when Dr. K is going to address something like that. Having to come to grips with the fact that this big surge in Twitch activity that has put so many content creators on the map with Twitch, and YouTube as well. YouTube had a similar effect with videos. But so many people are being introduced to online media for the first time because they're stuck home. How many people out there, especially live streamers, can come to grips with the fact that it took something like COVID to create the environment that has led to their success? And even not just the increased numbers on Twitch since 2019, but also just the culture of everything, and also collabing and other stuff getting fleshed out during the lockdowns. People being forced to, like the S-Fan Ginny thing in 2020, all those kinds of things happening. Seriously, it's all stuff to think about. It's just, how do you mentally come to grips with what has made you? It's like, there was a tweet that I responded to asking, name a scam. This might surprise some people. Name a scam, it said, that seems to have been normalized, that nobody thinks about it anymore. And I said the creator economy. Think about the creator economy, and this could probably be its own discussion, but we'll scratch the surface here. The so-called creator economy, this whole making money off of content creation and stuff like that. You see the people like Mr. Beast and whatnot at the very top of their game. You're seeing the people who are most publicized because they're the most successful. You aren't seeing the people behind the scenes that never make it. It's basically sports all over again, professional sports. For every major league athlete in something like baseball or basketball or football, there are so many people that never make it out of the minors, that only play in college and never get signed to go pro. It's like, there's a whole nother side to sports besides the few people that actually make it onto those pro teams. And yet the minute we pick up a ball as a kid, we're thinking, could I be the next baseball player or football player, basketball superstar, whatever it is? So many of us have the drive. Not all of us have the skill, and some of us don't even have the genetics for it. Then you get down to something like hockey, where depending on how the schools recruit people, your birthday affects your ability to be successful as a hockey player. It's wild. It's really wild stuff. But it's all very, very distorted and skewed. You don't see the folks like myself or other people who do this part-time as a hobby or whatnot. Maybe you'll see the biggest of us, but the household names that you're familiar with all of this creator economy stuff are the folks that, and that's why, you hear the statistics and you see people like me crunch the numbers. And you hear people talk about how not a lot of Twitch streamers make the equivalent of minimum wage, but everybody wants to be one. Then there's YouTubers that are in the same boat with ad revenue. And even if memberships and supers were a thing, why do you want to be depending upon other people choosing you, of all things, to spend their disposable income on? Why would you want to build your financial anything off of that? It's at a time when places can't hire because they can't find people because these kids have all grown up wanting to be YouTubers. So nobody wants to be the guy picking up the garbage on the side of the street or loading trucks in the warehouse so you can get that stupid ass light that you ordered for your stream setup off of Amazon. Like, I realize it's a movie title waiting to happen, but Revenge of the Normies, anyone? Like, I hate the term normie nowadays. I mean, I went along with it for like the Mizkif culture and stuff like that on Twitch, but don't make fun of people who have jobs. Look, you make $20 an hour driving a forklift in a warehouse in my neck of the woods because of the Great Resignation affecting wages around here. You have the equivalent of what? 1,000 subscribers on Twitch or something in the span of a year. What does that equate to again? We've run the numbers on it before, but just... So yeah, the Sully Gnome 365, get back to that. Twitch is in the skids. They're fighting to hold on to not the progress they made in 2021 as a platform, but the progress they made in 2020 now. And then it's a matter of what happens as Facebook continues to become something notable, TikTok continues to become what it is, and YouTube continues to expand into live streaming and short form. It's just like, what exactly? I mean, I'm almost completely checked out of the Twitch ecosystem now. After the rest of my subscriptions expire, which they will soon, after they expire, it's just Twitch Prime to Vindalia. I really can't think of any reason to do anything more in the Twitch ecosystem anymore. And that assumes I want to keep Amazon Prime. So I just don't see, I do not at all see the creator economy as anything viable for people that aren't already at the top. And you look at stuff like what people are saying now at VidCon. Going on, as I discuss this, by the way, they have their own YouTube channel, so you can always check that out. They seem to be keeping the stream replays live as well for people like myself that are VCRing and watching later, so to speak. But you hear all this industry talk and you think, oh, that's Jim Louder back on screen. He used to be the guy in charge of freaking Revision 3. I used to watch so many Revision 3 podcasts at the end of the 2000s going into the 2010s. Jim Louderback's a name that I'm familiar with. I've seen some of the shows he's done. So I heard him talk like, oh, that's Jim Louderback. I remember from the Revision 3 days. He's still involved in this kind of stuff. But you have these people that are the who's who in various industries. People that work for like Paramount under Paramount Plus, or people that work for this or for that. These are people that are already at the top. They're industry people who know what's going on with this kind of stuff. And they're talking about things as though the common Joe with their smartphone can be anywhere close to that. Well, I can tell you, the big streamers aren't going in that direction, not with the endless orgs and compilations and things along those lines, even as Twitch as a platform continues to skid, and you see all these creators out there that are using collabs as a way of propping each other up as everything goes down to try and hide the decline in their own numbers. But if you dig around Twitch Tracker, which links up clips to concurrent numbers and things like that, shows the averages and the peaks for streams of various streamers, you can see, oh, so-and-so only had decent views in that stream because they got rated. You know, the rest of the time, it's just, you know, they're not really doing as well as they used to. So you have to filter out certain things to see the decline for yourself because, you know, like putting makeup on a pig or something like that, these people are doing everything they possibly can to cover up the fact that it's happening. I mean, it's going to continue to happen. Whatever decline we could have seen this year, by the way, is getting slowed down by these new COVID variants, BA4, BA5, which are going to make some smart people in this world tenacious as they make the rounds. If not for health reasons, because you're vaccinated and caught up on your shots, and you know how to get Paxlovid if you need it or something like that. Besides all of that, let's also not forget the money side of it. People are not going to want to be stuck home from work at a time when gas is $5 a gallon. It's like, so it's not even about wearing a mask, isn't even about COVID. It's about, you don't want to get kicked out of work, so you don't even want to get the sniffles. The things that happen when you actually use your head and don't listen to people screeching hysterical crap at you on the internet. And you stick with what the doctors say, or you just use a little common sense and have a little business sense with that kind of stuff. But yeah, we're supposed to be talking about Twitch's 55% thing here. Why don't we actually get to that? There's really nothing that can get me to want to stream on Twitch again. Nothing. I've tried so many times to come up with something to do on the Twitch channel, but as you've noticed from my socials bar, I've dropped it from that. You can still dig around and find the link to my Twitch or twitch.tv/MultimediaJay. If you have a Twitch Prime sitting around with nothing to do, you could toss it my way just to get rid of it. You know, don't let Amazon run away with that money. However, there's a $100 payoff thing, so unless a lot of people do that consistently for months, I'm never going to see the money anyway, so. Because Twitch has so much less ways to get monetized outside of ads when you're not live. So it's just like your progression to getting paid as a Twitch affiliate will be slower than your progression to getting paid as a YouTube partner. It takes longer to get YouTube partner, but what if YouTube were to fix this problem where they had the highest barriers to entry, or they split it out to where you didn't get ad revenue until after a certain point. You can get supers and other stuff earlier and start developing things that way. That's another discussion though. But yeah, the 55% ad split is not enough. It's a copy of YouTube, by the way. The 55% ad revenue, YouTube already does that. 55-45 split in favor of the creator. That's why the free way to support a YouTuber is to turn off your ad blocker. Let YouTube run their ads and stuff. Let YouTube run their ads to try and pay their bill. Well, don't forget, it's also the original name for what we call monetization is ad revenue sharing. So the money that YouTube was making anyways gets shared with the creator. So outside of, merch or other stuff or other forms of monetization, that's the way to support creators directly, to let YouTube play their dumb ads. So if it's or you could always just watch a video and then have it play with ads going or something like that to support them after the fact. There's so many things people can do if they put their thinking caps on. But I'm just looking at some other stuff related to this here. And I'm seeing all the cat memes that I share on Twitter these days. There's what I'm looking for. And here's what that letter was talking about. This is hard evidence that Twitch streamers can really, improve things for themselves. I don't know if very many of them are going to want to do that. This is my ad manager set up the way Twitch told me to set it. As hard evidence in that letter. Hard evidence, very hard evidence that it's doable. And remember what Twitch said, let me just recap, what the old system was. The old system was 3 minutes of ads got you 30 minutes of no pre-rolls. So you push the button for a 3-minute ad break. It gave you 30 minutes of no pre-rolls while you answered the door because the pizza was there or used the bathroom or something like that or got up and stretched. So Twitch is making a concession to allow you to have an hour of no ads if you program in 3 minutes of ads per hour, which you can do. Here's the settings. Spacing, 1 hour, all the way over. 3 minutes of ads, delay it 1 minute, and then and this is why the little songs that I use at the start and end of this stream are not going to be doable for this, have a longer than 4 minute start soon screen. Play a long song. That way the ads run automatically, or push the button, I don't know. And that way the ads run automatically during the start soon screen. So people know you're just getting if they're smart, they know you're just getting ads over with. Otherwise, what the hell is this? But this is actually, I know that Twitch has been trying to get pre-rolls working. Or Twitch has been trying to get mid-rolls somewhere into its ecosystem because the pre-rolls were never going to scale. So Twitch has been trying to put together some kind of mid-roll system similar to YouTube. But how do you do that with a live stream? This is one way. And it's a concession for them to do that, again, because you get an hour of no pre-rolls if you set it automatically like this. Previously, a 3-minute thing got you 30 minutes of no pre-rolls, roughly. 34-ish minutes or so based on not counting the ad, the ad break itself, 3 minutes ads, etc. So this is a concession to try and get more people to use the ad scheduler instead. So what this does, this is actually something I like. This is something I would actually do if I was streaming on Twitch, is I would set this up. So that way, starts out, and then you just keep track of where the ads are. Now, Twitch is supposed to have something that tells you when the next mid-roll break is coming up, so you can plan around it. So here's the plan with all of this. So here's the thing with all of this. You're supposed to have a thing that tells you that you can snooze ads too, but I don't know what that does to your pre-rolls. But this is television. Have you ever seen people producing a TV show? TV would be the same way. It'd be like cards, they'd be like cue cards for how long until the next commercial or how long until the end of the show or something along those lines. So if Twitch streamers took a cue from the media that precedes all this internet stuff. They could do this and nobody would care. Keep an eye on when the next ad break is. And then get up, especially game streamers. If you're playing video games for hours a day streaming, it'd be really healthy for you to get up and stretch once an hour. But who's going to do that? Can any of these streamers start thinking like television folks before then and start planning around these ad breaks? So that way everyone gets up and stretches during the commercials. It was a thing with TV. Could it be a thing with Twitch? That's the question. I haven't really seen that, though, from any side of the Twitch ecosystem. I've seen Twitch streamers who are all snooty and whatnot, on top of the world. In some cases, they act like they run more ads, hoping that, people will just sub if they don't want to see ads. Yeah, don't forget, this, by the way, this only affects people who don't sub. So there's probably people that Twitch thinks will sub because of this. Twitch is probably banking on more people subbing to not have to deal with any of this. Kind of a smaller version of what some of the bigger streamers do. But you have the big streamers who, they just flood their thing because they get so many concurrents. They think that they'll always have an audience no matter what. They've got critical mass. They have inertia. They have momentum and stuff along those lines. But then I see people on Twitter that are talking about, I'm going to start ad blocking Twitch because of this. So it's really not popular as usual. Ads often aren't. It's one of those necessary evils in order to pay for things in many cases. But here's a system that's nice and simple. You plan on stretching for 3 minutes once an hour when you're playing a video game, and you stick to that schedule so that way your audience doesn't get a crap experience because of the ads. I really think someone out there, some analyst somewhere, is criticizing Twitch because they were too lenient on this. No pre-rolls if you have that 3-minute ad break once an hour and you have ways of keeping an eye on when it's coming up through your Twitch dashboard. If I was a game streamer, I'd jump all over this and never have pre-rolls ever again. I'd plan everything around that. And by the way, once upon a time, if 2 years ago counts, I remember the old system that you can still do by not using the ad scheduler. The old system would give you 30 minutes of no pre-rolls for a 3-minute ad break. I was like, why can't I do a 6-minute ad break and not get pre-rolls for an hour? Again, Twitch made a concession to do this. Now, with this setup, you get 3 minutes of ads, gives you an hour of no pre-rolls effectively if you schedule them automatically. Now, will Twitch perhaps reverse this change and require more ads? I'd like to see them allow people to have longer breaks, by the way. Maybe make it 6 minutes of ads like I originally said. And then everybody knows during the ad breaks, let's all get up and stretch or whatever, or see what else, something like that. I know there's a risk of losing viewers that way, but TV works the same way too. If you ever had people channel flip during commercials or something, same problem can happen on TV. But no, seriously. This could be a good thing, but I just don't see it panning out. I just don't know if Twitch streamers will really be mature enough to have a little discipline. So many Twitch streamers I've seen, I don't think they'd be mature enough to have a little discipline to actually do this right. And so that way they have something similar to a TV format where they get up and stretch from their games once an hour. It only has to be 3 minutes, too. I'd say, put up a BRB screen and have the ads play during the BRB. So if people know they're not missing something and they can get all the Totino's pizza rolls ads, something like that. I'm also curious, too, if this were to be successful, would this more predictable ad cycle for Twitch drop the use of ad blockers on Twitch? Because people know, it's going to be 3 minutes. The streamer's going to just go do other stuff while the ads play. I don't even need the ad blocker because I'm not going to miss anything. Imagine if YouTube got like that at some point. Of course, YouTube did advertise to me this button I have for insert ad, but I don't know if it actually goes to a commercial break if I press it. I think it just adds an ad to the the replay for mid-rolls or something later. But yeah, whatever, YouTube. That's another big difference between YouTube and Twitch, by the way, is I can turn off invasive ads. Well, number one, you have a skip button. So even if you do get a video ad coming over to the stream, like 3 seconds later you hit skip and you're in, or 5 seconds if there's multiple formats. But you're not sitting through like multiple pre-rolls or something like that just to get to the stream in the first place, like you would on Twitch, even though Twitch sells ads in fixed time blocks of like 15 or 30 seconds like a radio station would do. But yeah, it's like, this could be good. I think it could be good for the platform, but it's not going to do anything about the rest of the baggage that exists on Twitch. It's not going to do anything about the problems with stuffy exclusivity, the problems with clip snipers, the banned streamer rule, where if I get banned from Twitch for any reason, even something stupid or a technical issue, it is now forbidden for people to talk about me until I'm unbanned. It's not just a circumvention policy like on YouTube, where if I get banned off of YouTube, YouTube doesn't want me creating extra channels, even though there have been people who have gotten into the partner program on second channels after they learned their lesson a couple of years later. I have seen that happen. That's why I wasn't on board with the Actman thing when he was like, Quantum TV's ban evading. That's the kind of thing, that's Twitch streamer language. That's like, I want to start drama with somebody by any means necessary. I'm more concerned about Quantum and DMCA and anybody who abuses DMCA or is open even to the idea of abusing DMCA to silence criticism. But I mean, if somebody's on a second or third channel or whatnot, I've known some commentators who were successful like on their third channel after screwing up and getting banned multiple times. So, and then they actually were professional about it. Do you want to instantly kick them off of YouTube because of that? That's the thing too. Some countries, like in the EU, I think, are playing around with right to be forgotten. Basically, some kind of internet mulligan. If you're stupid on the internet when you're young, it shouldn't haunt you for the rest of your life when you grow up and wise up about it. America, on the other hand, I don't know. We have some catching up to do in that area. But Twitch Ad Manager. This could be such a good idea, but it doesn't do anything about the baggage that Twitch has caused for itself. It doesn't do anything about DMCA. It doesn't do anything about the weaker technology for various things. It doesn't do anything about the less robust feature set, the lack of after-the-fact video support, things along those lines. Uploads are there if you're an affiliate, but it doesn't really do much and stuff. And people just aren't conditioned to go to Twitch for after the fact videos. So you have this environment of your content's not live, it's dead, stuff like that. And then there's the VOD barfer problem. VOD barfers, that would be my cynical nickname for content creators on Twitch who stream on Twitch and then immediately send the VOD over to YouTube because of Content ID for DMCA purposes, instead of risking strikes on Twitch if they don't get live struck by a record company. Except some record companies have actually figured it all out. And so I find out Cook Sucks, of all people, had his VOD channel, Cook Sucks TV, shut down due to copyright strikes from Sony Music Japan. And I'm like, wow, must really suck to be the precedent, the example for how just because Twitch and YouTube are different doesn't mean that Twitch can't bring down YouTube's environment in the process. Because what is stopping a rights holder from developing a bot to automate DMCAs for Twitch to just point it at YouTube instead and completely disregard Content ID? Like, I'm not taking your hush money, YouTube. No, I ain't taking your money, YouTube. I'm want to strike those people using my song from some popular K-pop artist or whatever that I own the rights to. No. I really think we should have of course I figured this probably would happen, but we really should have seen this coming before we started seeing all these Twitch streamers clogging up YouTube with all these VODs. Because, oh no, I don't want to get DMCA'd on Twitch. Yeah, so you roll the dice that you'll just get Content ID'd here until a record company decides to start sending strikes around anyways. it's a national issue too. Japan has stricter copyright laws than we do, and last I checked, their system doesn't have any notion of any kind of fair use whatsoever. So it's a cultural difference between us as well. The issue is whether American companies are going to let companies from Japan export that culture to our neck of the woods. Yeah. Either way, let's get back to Twitch. Talking about Twitch. Twitch has this wonderful system, and it's actually a concession. They're letting you have essentially an hour of no pre-rolls for 3 minutes of ads. It's very predictable. And, if you read up on playing video games for long periods of time, one of the things that they say, yeah, you should get up and stretch for like up to 10 minutes every hour. Well, here's 3 minutes. You could just take a longer BRB to stretch and everything, so you don't get the negative effects of sitting down for way too long. You could just take a longer stretch break. But here it is. This would be cool if it wasn't for the other baggage that Twitch has. So, circumvention rule versus banned streamer rule, DMCA, political side of things. You can talk about Ritz crackers and someone thinks you're saying a racial slur. By the way, the term cracker only means like biscuits and stuff in my neck of the woods. Even out here in the woods, hillbillies everywhere, that was never something when I was growing up. Never. No. I learned about it on the internet. It wasn't a thing and isn't a thing in my neck of the woods. Maybe like one person in like 5 or 6 towns with at least 10 to 15,000 people might actually acknowledge that it's derogatory, but it's a cultural thing that's just not a thing around here. But don't tell that to the trigger-happy, trust and safety people at Twitch who will think they hear something like, say, muddled audio over a video game and then ban you for it. Or what happened to Asmongold? He's playing Diablo Immortal, and this is one of the biggest things I hate about Twitch, is how they constantly err on the side of holding Twitch streamers responsible for what other people do. Like moderators, for example. Oh, you're not moderating your chat enough. You come over to here, what's the big red box say when you come into my chat? Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. Learn more. Because it's right in the service documents for YouTube that individuals own what they post. You come into my chat with spam or derogatory stuff, if I see it, you're obviously going to get dealt with. But even if I don't, if I'm too busy with something, you're breaking TOS and you are responsible for your behavior. Full stop. You can be disciplined for chat. You can be disciplined for comments. You can be disciplined even for an inappropriate playlist. Just saw something on Twitter earlier. Someone complaining to Team YouTube. Why'd I get my channel suspended? Inappropriate playlist. So it's just it wasn't even that they were making a playlist of inappropriate videos. They were combining together videos in an inappropriate manner into a playlist. And in the playlist metadata and how the videos were combined together got their channel shut down due to violations of community guidelines. So, welcome to YouTube, where individuals can actually be held responsible for stuff. As opposed to, you can report someone on Twitch for not moderating their chat enough for your tastes. Or you can be like Asmongold. You can go AFK, and then people flood the in-game chat, which you forgot to cover up with racist crap, and now you are on the hook for broadcasting racist stuff. Oh, what if that happened on YouTube? You have a blur tool. You go back in after the fact and blur it, or you can edit it out. You have options. There's also things where things be taken offline until you edit it. I think YouTube's working on some systems for that as well. So YouTube, once again, ahead of the game on the technology. Well, Twitch just keeps on, there's a thing that I remember cynically people used to say about places they didn't like working. They don't know anything. They don't want to know anything. All they want to do is yell at people. Kind of the definition of a bad boss. They're ignorant of what's going on. They don't want to get any better at knowing what the heck they're doing. All they ever want to do is point fingers at people. It's always somebody's fault, and they call it like accountability. There must always be a person that you finger point everything at. Things can never just happen. Someone must always be held accountable, etc. It's always about blaming someone every single time, regardless of the circumstances of the situation. And that's what I see in Twitch, the way they run things. Constantly, like a bad boss. Like, if you ever work for somebody who was very, very unprofessional, somebody who couldn't keep it professional. You know, you may not like the boilerplate notices from corporate, but it's better than a nasty gram note taped to the fridge in the break room. You know, personally calling you out in plain view of your coworkers. Now, who would want to work in a mess like that? That's what Twitch constantly reminds me of. Lack of professionalism, this kind of stuff. So, I mean, they could make a system like this. I'm sure it'd be nice, but this is not going to get me to stream on Twitch. Just, I can't come up with anything intelligent to do with that channel. Maybe some games, but then again, the development of YouTube gaming has me wondering about even that. So, and then you have to think about the money side of this. Oh, so Twitch is going to copy YouTube and pay 55% of the CPMs. This is where we can get the calculator involved. Does it show up in this scene, or do I have to go back to the other one? Because looking at if you look at the blog entry, which I also have linked on Twitter, the blog entry talks about how going to 55% of CPM, the ad revenue split, 55% was a 150%. Yeah, it is on here. A 150% improvement. Well, here's the thing. 150% is 1.5 plus it's an improvement, so it's on top of the 1 that's already there. So 2.5 is the magic number here. 55 divided by 2. Oh, sticky he here. Summertime, baby. 55 divided by 2.5, 22% of CPM. That's how bad things were under the old system. And, you know, I suppose probably it would not be worth it with something like this to not at least lampoon their blog entry. So let me see here. Did I put it? Yeah. So Twitch blog, better, whoa, getting lit now. Better ad payouts, shrink the window. Better ad payouts, some more creators. The ad revenue upgrade. Let me just read this blog entry for you. Circa June 14th, 2022. A few months ago, we introduced the Ad Manager tool in the Ads Incentive Program, AIP. We wanted to make managing ads easier and test a method of helping creators earn ad income more reliably. After so much positive creator feedback, we're going even bigger. AIP, the Ad Incentive Program, its purpose is so each month creator gets an offer if they stream a specific amount of hours with a specific ad density, they receive a predetermined payout. It's like for the partnership and stuff. Let the ad manager handle the ads, and at the end of the month, you get paid. This is what I thought was in the partner contracts, like minimum ad density and stuff along those lines. So this is where you start seeing all of a sudden, bam, 7 or 8 ads in your favorite creator, and oh, I don't like the ads. Well, just sub, you cheapskate. Blah blah blah. You know, well, that's the tame way of saying it. There have been Twitch streamers that call non-subs leeches before. Anyways, here's what I find hilarious, because anybody who knew anything about business or any of this stuff was calling out Twitch for their flat CPMs. CPM, cost per melee, cost per 1,000 impression. It's a thing with advertising. So if you're on Twitch and you become a Twitch affiliate and you see that CPM in the confidential part of your control panel as a creator on Twitch, you have all of that. You might think it's great. Now, oh, look, Twitch is going to give me money if I run an ad, if I run 1,000 ads on my channel. Except it takes advantage of you not knowing about dynamic CPMs that are based on the value of the advertising. So you make YouTube videos, for example. You make YouTube videos that are about topics that sell very expensive ad slots. You'll make more ad revenue with the impressions. So it's the content and it's the topic or the keyword that's searched or whatever, Google Trends for that stuff. It's the topic that determines what the CPM is, not, oh, here, you're a Twitch affiliate, you get this amount. So Twitch had been getting lampooned by folks like myself and others for a long time because the flat CPM system sounds amazing until you learn about something like dynamic CPMs on YouTube. Let's read this blog entry, the funniest part of it here. Traditionally, we calculated creator earnings from ads through a fixed CPM, a flat rate for every 1,000 ad views on their channel. To increase payouts and to ensure we can pass price increases through to creators, we're moving away from our fixed CPM structure to a percentage-based revenue share model. This new model pays creators 55% of the revenue for each ad that runs on their stream. This change represents a 50 to 150% ad pay rate increase for the vast majority of creators on Twitch. And outs that their numbers, that their percent of CPM was terrible. 20-something%. Anyways, it copies YouTube with the 55% thing, 55-45 for ad revenue. But where are you going to get more ads? Where are you going to get more ad plays? You're going to get those ad plays from YouTube. What's one of the biggest problems with Twitch? Twitch has doubled down on live. Twitch has doubled down on being a streaming platform. So if you are not live, your content is dead. The upload support on Twitch is atrocious. The platform's monthly active users are so small, they don't even make the top list on number sites like Statista. This very niche. They've tried to grow through expansion categories, but the growing expansion categories on Twitch still represent a minority of the viewing hours. Most people are still watching Twitch for games. Even the e-girl scene on Twitch, which flirts with the TOS for inappropriate content and stuff, even the things like that still haven't made a big enough dent in the viewership to take the main source of watch hours on Twitch away from games and game streaming. Still hasn't happened yet. So fundamentally, Twitch is small and you have less opportunities. And it also, because you have to be live, it creates the grind element to it. It assassinates your free time. And it demands of your audience that if they want to follow you properly as a real fan, they have to watch hours of your stream, which isn't even, there's no way to make your stream better, to make better use of your audience's time other than planning out a show, which some people don't want. They just want someone to wander around with a camera on them everywhere they go and go about their daily life. Until, of course, they start realizing that their own life is slipping away because they have nothing better to do. So when they're home and whatnot, they're not at work or school or something. They're just watching this streamer who's live all the time. But it's just, you start really wondering, especially if it's not the most interesting stuff after a while, whether you could have done something better with your time or not. And then on the creator side of things, someone spends years streaming on Twitch and only has VODs to their name, never made anything that's evergreen or a good use of the audience's time, like something produced like a video or a movie or a short film or something that goes viral and is known for years, or maybe some video that people really like for years and stuff. I think somewhere between a viral video like you'd see on TikTok these days and a feature film. You never make something like that. And then you come out of years of content creation way older, not as much looks or things like that like you used to when you were younger. And you come out with that and you just wonder, could I have done better some other way? It's really something that gets the gears turning. So, I mean, even if Twitch copies YouTube at the 55% thing, you're still talking about your progression to your next payout as a small creator advancing slower on Twitch than on YouTube because there's no evergreen side to it. You have to be live. And so at the same time, though, if, say, you have an audience that loves watching you live and you do advance faster on Twitch, that only continues until YouTube gets its stuff together. And don't forget, streams on YouTube, do them right, people watch them after the fact. I've even been seeing that with my own game streams lately. The PTS experiment with Isabelle Valois and Elder Scrolls Online has lots of after the fact views. And YouTube has updated their analytics suite so you can go to any of your videos or streams or short form and you can take a look at the views, well, the stream specifically, look at the views live versus the views after the fact. And you can actually see how they split out from each other. But it's this whole algorithms trying to pass your stuff around. Sometimes not as fast as you want them to. Algorithms trying to pass your stuff around. After the fact videos, stuff that's a better use of your audience's time, that's easier to binge watch, that's easier to watch alongside other stuff as opposed to one streamer at a time for hours and hours and hours. You can't do anything else at the time, unless you're, of course, tabbing through streams and not really paying attention or whatever. Or you have to think about watching multiple streamers that aren't playing any kind of background music, so that way there isn't like weird music going over each other, and it's just like listening to a bunch of people talking at once. I mean, there's limited ways to watch multiple streams at once, but it doesn't hold a candle, and follow multiple streamers, but it doesn't really hold a candle to you have a whole bunch of YouTubers you like and you're watching their videos on a regular basis, and there's no time element, so you can just watch whenever you get to it. You go on binge watching sprees of various creators and stuff, like I did with LGR Thrifts randomly that one time, when I was talking about the whole plaid furniture and stuff. So, and I think, so even though Twitch matches YouTube, there's still some substantial differences between Twitch and YouTube with the structure of the business, what you have available, and what your progression is going to be like. Going to $100 for that payout minimum threshold. Twitch, you got to be live and grind, do all the other, and have all the baggage associated with trying to be a live streamer in a day and age where so many people want to get into it. Being a live streamer is like playing a bass guitar. I'm sure a lot of people can pick up a bass and just become a one-string wonder, just matching the tune if they're not tone deaf or something. Boom, 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 or something like that. But it's one of those things where it's easy to get into, hard to master. Not everybody's going to be like one of those people that can do a bass solo and you're like, wow, I like that. But a lot of people can come in like boom, 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 boom. That's not how you play a bass anyways. You actually do the so then there's this perception that streaming is something that's easier to get into than making videos because you don't have to edit anything. So I'm just gonna go live. Yeah, you get a setup together, go live. Yeah, and there's less barriers to entry that way. So you're now in this pool with literally everybody else playing Elden Ring or whatever game it is that you want to try and carve your own path with. Seriously? Nah. Kind of ties back to the thing about me joking about the creator economy being a scam, but maybe it's not a joke. So yeah, Twitch affiliates 55% ad revenue split, and you need 3 minutes an hour with no pre-rolls either. So I am actually curious though if Twitch will reconsider this. There's a whole nother section for partners, by the way. I'm actually curious if Twitch is going to consider changing a few things up if 3 minutes of ads per hour, it doesn't bring in the money they're trying to bring in. Of course, Twitch has been challenged for money, just like YouTube's been challenged for money. But Twitch has the unenviable position of being an asset of Amazon as opposed to the video front of Google, so to speak. Twitch, unfortunately, is in a different position as an Amazon subsidiary than YouTube is under Google. Different companies running the show, different attitudes, different everything. Twitch, and the best evidence of this is the way that Twitch has had its core licensing technology turned into something that Amazon is selling directly. You can have your own streaming platform with Twitch technology through Amazon Web Services. Forgot what the service was called, but but Amazon sells that. So they own the technology for Twitch as owning the company. And so they use Twitch for like some element of Amazon Prime to drive more Amazon Prime memberships, but also the technology that Twitch brought to the table for live streaming is something that's marketed independently of Twitch entirely through Amazon directly. It's wild, but that's corporate stuff for you. Mergers and acquisitions happen for all kinds of reasons. Sometimes it's just to buy some stuff and have it in your portfolio, so to speak. And Twitch under Amazon, unfortunately, is another one of those examples. Either way. I think we said all that needs to be said here without getting too redundant as sunrise approaches here at the Geekhouse, and I got to do some experimenting with the game stream format to set it up. for a potential Ninja Turtles collab. Right now, I can't even get into Discord, never mind the Xbox app. So I probably should set that up if I'm planning on playing Ninja Turtles tomorrow night or some other games as well. I really don't know at this point. Heck, I might just sleep a lot because I've been running around a lot. So I'll probably sleep better from all the running around that I've been doing. But yeah, Twitch has that 55% ad revenue split, but all it does, it just copies YouTube without really addressing a lot of the problems that Twitch brings to the table and the baggage as well that is inherent to not just the platform, but live streaming in general. When you get involved as a Twitch streamer, you're getting yourself involved with Twitch's business decisions for better or for worse. I hate to make it sound like a marriage, but there is kind of some parallels to that in terms of getting hitched to a platform with its ups and downs, so to speak. And, oh, you could just diversify and do other stuff. Yeah, well, but the Twitch element of what you do is always going to be subject to that garbage. And then, of course, there's the stuff that goes beyond that, like being having to be essentially disfellowshipped or something like that if you are a banned user, even if it's because of technical issues or something else. Just people can't even talk about you without risking getting banned. Twitch goes that far. YouTube with the circumvention rule does not. The circumvention rule only applies to you as a creator circumventing getting your account shut down or whatnot. It doesn't apply to other people talking about you. And thank goodness, too. There'd be a lot of people banned off YouTube if they ever decide to become like Twitch in that respect. Let's hope they never do. Of course, YouTube doesn't need to become like Twitch. They're in a completely different league, completely different universe, and they have completely different competitors that nobody likes to talk about, like TikTok and Facebook. But that's another discussion that we can definitely have another day. 4:50 at the Geekhouse. The sun is coming up soon, and I've had a long, wild week of running around. I think it's time I took some rest for a change. Maybe work on some tech videos, maybe play some games and stuff, but the clock is ticking on that darn Xbox Game Pass membership. I don't want to be here like videos, and next thing I know, the free trial's over, and I'm like, oh crap, I didn't do anything with it. But either way, tech, gaming, it's all multimedia. And it's kind of sort of what I'm about and have been about for 15 plus years on here now. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by. Like and subscribe.